Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Elise. If you're not new, welcome back. It's great to see you again. Thanks for clicking on this video. Let's do another series video. In this video, I'm going to read a handful of books from series that I am in the middle of, and we're just gonna work on them so that hopefully one day I won't be reading like 42 series at the same time. In this video, I will be reading a handful of different books from different series, different genres, so hang out with me if that sounds good to you. It's a very quiet day at the library. I'm just chugging away at my tasks while I listen to an audiobook. Don't worry, I always pause when a customer or a patron comes in. But guess what arrived in living? The 6th book of the Percy Jackson series, The Chalice of the Gods. So I'm just starting it just now. I am so excited. Hey friends, I finished The Chalice of the Gods yesterday. It was so fun. I just had the best time revisiting this world. It wasn't my favorite Percy Jackson book of the series, but it was still really fun. I feel like the series previous to this kind of got a little more serious and more mature as it went on. You know, it was still with that trademark humor, but this one felt like it kind of went back on the level of maturity. It was just like kind of playful fun. The stakes didn't feel quite as high, and I have to say I missed Camp Half-Blood, but I think Percy already had his last summer at Camp Half-Blood as well as Annabeth, so because of that they didn't return as campers. I'm hoping that maybe they will return eventually, you know, as counselors or visitors or trainers or something. I'm not sure. It was really fun. Stay tuned at the end for my rating, but I'm glad to have finally read this and continued the series. I will say it's a really fast, easy read. The narrator does an awesome job. I believe he also narrates some of the latter Percy Jackson series. He did a great job. He does good voices for everyone, and it was really fun. Hello my friends, I come to you yet again from my car. Please forgive me, I am not at my best today. Okay, don't worry, just very tired. But I did want to let y'all know that I have started Winter, which is the final full-length book from the Lunar Chronicles. I started Winter last night. I only got 4% of the way, even though I listened to an hour of the audiobook. Because guess how long the audiobook is? It's 24 freaking hours. This book is over 830 pages. Holy moly. Already it's wild. Already I'm enjoying Winter's perspective. So in this world there are earthlings and there are lunars, and some of the lunars have a power to control like electromagnetic currents and make you do, like they can make you move your hand or cut with a knife or run around. You know, you get the gist. Winter, as the princess, has chosen not to use her powers. When they don't use their powers, it kind of drives them a little bit insane, and so she's a little mad, and she knows it, she owns it. So that's really interesting to see. And then we found out that there is a character from the past book that was very morally gray. Honestly, couldn't tell if he was a good guy or not. He did help our main characters. Still couldn't tell if he was a good guy or not, but he's in this book and we're getting to see a different side of him, which I'm really enjoying. So I'm excited to see how it wraps up, and if some of those things from my previous thoughts from Crest, which you can see in this vlog, if those things that I kind of had issues with end up like writing themselves in this book, because that's kind of my theory, that the reason I felt dissatisfied with some of those things is because Marissa Meyer is going to conclude them in this book and like wrap them up. We'll see. I have an update for you on Winter. I am a little over 500 pages. I have to admit, I've mostly been listening to it while I've been driving to work and back. This is a chonker. My Libby hold is going to be gone soon, and I can't renew the book because someone else is on the list for the hold, so I better finish it very soon. But like I mentioned, I'm a little over 500 pages in, and wow, has a lot happened. So far, this is my favorite book that I've read in this series. It is just non-stop action-packed. I feel like every little moment has added something to the story and moved it forward. a few events happened and just took us to a whole new dimension of messed up. I'm really enjoying Winter's perspective. She is a little loopy, but so much smarter and more resilient than people give her credit for, and I love that we get to see that side of her, and she gets to be added to and join, you know, the little band of misfits that has been collecting throughout this series. We also have gotten to see Jason's point of view, and I'm so glad that we did. He still is a very morally gray character. Honestly, he only cares about Winter and helping Winter stay safe. And right now that aligns with the little band of misfits, so he has kind of been on their side. We have been getting to see his perspective and just how much he cares for Winter, and that really makes him endearing. We have finally gotten to see more of Scarlet in this book, and that's been nice because we didn't get to see her as much in Cress. Things are really ramping up. The evil Queen Lavanna is getting real stressed and making some real sketchy decisions, and I'm just so excited to see her finally like fully mess up and for the power to be out of her control. But I still have about 40% left of the book, so I still have a lot that could happen. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see what happens. I'm ready to see the conclusion of this series. I'll get back to you guys when I finish this book. Hello friends. I finished this book a few days ago. I liked it. It was good, but I feel the same way I did about Cress in that it was just so long. It was so long. Most of the story did keep the plot moving forward, but there were a few scenes, and with the length of this book, it being like almost 830 pages, there were just only the things that needed to be there, and so there were some scenes that could have been taken out and made it shorter and just a faster read, and I think I would have given it a 5-star. I loved all of the perspectives of this story. I really liked Scarlet's and Winter's dynamic. I thought they were just like perfect for each other in the way that their kind of friendship developed. I loved that. I loved Jason's perspective because he is just not, he's a very morally gray character, and you really just don't know about Jason, but whenever you get to see his perspective, it was just really nice seeing how he really thought and felt about certain people, especially Winter, and that just made you have to root for him even though he's kind of a grump. And then of course, you know, Captain Thorn and Cinder and Kai, and I just, okay, probably an unpopular opinion here, but I just think Kai had so much more potential, and he just sounded like a whiny baby for almost the entire series, and I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for Kai to like step up or do something, and he never really does. And there's like one scene in this book where he does, but other than that, he just is like, oh, I wish I could do more, I wish I could do more, and then just sits around and waits and complains about how much he should be doing to help, and he isn't. And that bothered me. So like, Kai man, come on Kai, you have power, you just gotta do something about it. Risk it for the biscuit just a little bit like everyone else. Overall, I still had a really good time, and this is well over a 4-star, and I will say that I think that this series just gets better and better. However, this isn't the last book in the series. I thought I was done with this series. I was so excited and proud of myself, but there is a book full of short stories called Stars Above. And then there's also a novella that is called Fairest. However, I checked out the novella on audio. It's 9 hours. How is that a novella? That's a full-blown story. So unfortunately, I cannot say that I have finished the series. Look forward to that in a future vlog, just not this one. I have been reading The American Roommate Experiment. I have been tandem listening to it and reading it physically. So I'm about on page 132. I'm having a really good time. It's really cute. Rosie is a hot mess. Maybe she doesn't verbalize how much of a hot mess she is as compared to Lena in the Spanish love deception. Lena just kind of starts talking and then the ball gets rolling and she can't make herself stop. Whereas Lena has kind of those thoughts but doesn't always verbalize them. I also am really loving the addition of Lucas and his perspective and point of view in the book. In the Spanish love deception we only got Lena's point of view, which was really cute. We really got to know her by the end of the book, but this one we get Rosie and Lucas, and I'm loving that addition to the story. It's really fun. This story follows Rosie, who's kind of down on her luck a little bit. She's in a bit of a bind because she has quit her job to become a romance writer, but she's in a bit of a rut and only has 8 weeks to her deadline. And on top of that, her apartment literally crumbles in front of her eyes, like literally. And so she goes to stay in her best friend Lena's apartment while she's away on her honeymoon. Only little does she know that Lena offered her apartment to her cousin Lucas, who is from Spain. And so they kind of like work out a deal that they'll both stay there for a time. And we only just now got to the part where they kind of strike a deal because Rosie is trying to write romance again. She's in a rut, and so she comes up with this idea to like go on dates and like try some romantic things out to hopefully help her get out of this rut and to write in time for her deadline. Lucas offers to be her experiment subject and the clock is ticking. The chemistry in this book is really fun, and these two just get along really well in a different way, and I'm really enjoying that. I think that this is just gonna be a really fun book to read. I'm having a great time. I also think Lucas is potentially going to be a new book boyfriend, so I will update you on that because I just really like how he's reacting to Rosie and some of her scarier moments, or her moments where she's reacting due to fear and dissatisfaction in her current life situation, and he's just handling it very gently and kindly, and I really appreciate seeing that. So I'm excited to see more of those moments. I also relate a lot to Rosie because I myself have written a book, and I've decided to shelve it for the time being because of some of the feedback I got from my editor, which honestly I'm not mad about because I have learned so much while writing that book, and I know that the next book will only get better and better and better. But I understand that fear of failure and of putting yourself out there in something that you've worked so hard and so intimately on, and putting that out there for the world to see and judge and pick apart. So I get it because Rosie is like terrified of this next book. Sorry, there's a bug attacking my eyelashes. She's terrified of putting her next book out there, and just what if it was a one-time thing? What if it was a fluke or a mistake and she doesn't have that ability to develop the skill and create a career as an author? So I totally relate to that. I I get those feelings. I totally can relate to them. I'm about to leave for work, and I realized that I don't think I've updated you guys on this book, and I'm hoping to finish it or get really close to finishing it after today on my drive home. I am currently about 57% of the way through, so probably a little over 200. They are about to go to a masquerade ball, a masquerade party, and I just have this feeling that this is gonna be the tipping point. This is gonna be the moment. Rosie and Lucas have done a few of the experimental dates, and they've kind of not gone as planned, but they've also been really cute and adorable in their own ways, and I kind of love that. It's very light and easy to read. It is true rom-com territory. I'm excited to finally see how things come to a close, because Rosie has had a crush on Lucas for forever, just kind of like an online crush. She's known about him, she's seen his social media, she's always wanted to meet him, and so that crush has always kind of been there. But Lucas, because of the forced proximity, Rosie's a really cool person, he is like really starting to fall, and so I really want to see that final realization, and that what am I gonna do about that, because there's a time crunch of him moving back to Spain. I'm anxious to read that and see how Lena being back from her honeymoon is going to kind of push things also, because Lena like ran in on them. Like she came over to say hi to Lucas because she didn't know Rosie was there at the time, and ran into them together, not like doing anything nefarious, but like ran into them. And so I'm interested to see how Lena being in the equation and being around is going to kind of like push things a little bit further. So my audiobook ends today, so I'm hoping to get most of it done and then I can finish the rest of it physically, because I've been hopping back and forth. So we will hopefully have an update for you when I finish the book. Hey friends, please bear with this look because I have just been packing all day and I don't want to look cute. But I do need to talk to you guys about this book before I forget about it. So I did finish The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. It was really cute. I think this won a Goodreads Choice Award, or maybe it was nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award. And I could totally see why. It was really cute, very rom-com, cookie cutter rom-com for sure. It made me giggle, it made me laugh. And Lucas, whew. There were some moments in this and some things that Lucas said, and I was like jaw on the floor. Look at me getting all flustered. I said I didn't want to look cute, and here I am, you know, worried about it. I enjoyed this, but I do think that I enjoyed the Spanish love deception a little bit more, and I think largely it had to do with the international aspect. I kind of expected something international to happen with this. That was my bad. And this one did not have that aspect, and I don't know why I assumed it did. It literally says American in the title. I don't know. But I loved Lucas and I loved Rosie. However, there were some moments of them together and just like, yeah, it was slow burn. Yeah, there was a lot of tension, but there were some moments where they just kept resisting and they had already fallen for each other. And so it just didn't make sense to me for them to continue resisting with how much time they had left, as the time, you know, kept draining away for Lucas to return to Spain. But I do have to say I enjoyed the ending and his reasons for certain things at the end that I don't want to spoil. Also, I can't help but feel after reading the acknowledgements that Rosie was Elena with her like fears and like leaving another job and writing her second book after the first one did so well. So I enjoyed that. And I love how all of the dates just went wrong. But they still had a great time, and that's what matters. Welcome back, everyone. Yes, we're in the same place. I filmed the intro and the outro at the same time. The last time I saw you guys, I actually had just started reading I Married a Minotaur. This is, I don't know what number it is, in the Prime Mating Agency by Regine Abel. You guys. I started this that evening. I was in the back seat. We were taking a family trip. I couldn't read my regular book because it was just shaking too much, so I increased the font size of I Married a Minotaur on my Kindle app, and I was able to read it, and I finished it that night. I love this series so much, and I loved this installment. It has to do with a smuggler who gets caught. However, she gets kind of framed for a more egregious job than she actually does. Like, she has lines in the smuggling world, but someone framed her for a very egregious crime, and she was going to be on this planet in prison for like 11 years or something like that. Unless she marries a Minotaur. So she did. You know, she doesn't really have plans of staying with him, but really ends up becoming friends with him and finding a purpose on this world. And I just loved that because she was such a badass, and she was sassy and he was sassy. It made me love this world so much more because this is the same world as I Married a Burn in, and that is not my favorite in this series. So it makes me want to go back and reread that book and maybe see if my feelings will change about it. I really like the main male character too because his whole purpose as the new leader of his people was to not necessarily make them less violent, but to curb the violence so that they can have peaceful relations with other species on that planet. and so that less of his people died. That's kind of what the whole point of the book was trying to curb their violence by creating a gladiator arena. But that comes with a lot of challenges, difficulties, misunderstandings. I thought it was good pacing, and it was just a little bit sassy, and I really liked learning more about the world. So that was definitely a 5-star read for me. The next book I accidentally already packed. My bad, y'all. But that is Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods. This is the newest and 6th book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. It was fun. It was a good time. It was sweet. I would give this like a 3.5 to a 4-star rating. The next book that I completed is Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is the 4th book in the Lunar Chronicles series, and technically the last, but there is also a novella called Fairest. And then there is a collection of short stories called Stars Above. So in my opinion, I have not completed this series yet, and I have a hard time deciding exactly what to give it because I do think it was a little longer than it needed to be. The audiobook was literally 24 hours long, and no one got time for that. But I will say the rest of it was really good. I really liked the direction it went. I really like how it all wrapped up. I just love how Cinder never gave up. And we got to see more of Scarlet in this one too, which was nice because we didn't get to see much of her in the last one. Anyway, I just thought it was pretty good wrap up to the series, but just a little longer than it needed to be. So I think I'm gonna give this like a very solid 4.5 star. And last but not least, I read The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. This does conclude the Spanish Love Deception duology, so yay for me, I finished a series. This was a little off for me. It was an enjoyable reading experience. I do not regret it at all. I had a good time, but I don't think I'll be ever picking this back up again. There were parts of Rosie and Lucas's personalities that I didn't love. For Rosie, I just can't quite put my finger on it. I think a lot of this book was really slow burn, but unnecessarily so. Like, they knew they had a timeline and they knew they had a limit to how long they would be around each other, and they just like forced themselves to hold back for no reason. When they finally accepted it and gave in, there was like less than a week left. Also, Lucas's reasoning for the things that happened in the 3rd act, not a fan. I didn't love how that was handled. And then one thing that really bothered me was Lena, because Lena is the main character from the previous book. She loves Rosie's best friends with Rosie. She speaks the world about Lucas. Like, Lucas is her closest cousin. And then as soon as she sees the two of them together, she's like, what are you doing? You're a little playboy. How dare you? Leave Rosie alone. You two better not be doing things. I didn't like that. It was just contradictory. I know he's a dude, and, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, he's a playboy. But if that had like a role reversal and my closest cousin was saying that about me, I would be upset. So I was kind of upset on Lucas's behalf. Like I said, good time, it was fun, but I think I'm gonna give this like a 3. That concludes the 2nd episode of trying to finish every single series I'm in the middle of. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know your thoughts on these books. Are we the same? Are we different? Do you think I'm wrong? And my opinions are trash? Because, you know, that's valid. I am really enjoying chipping away at those series that I am in the middle of. It's very satisfying to kind of complete them and not necessarily check them off my list, but just like know that I'm paying attention to them and pursuing them. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much, you're a trooper. But let's do a wolf emoji, because wolf in this book really takes one for the team. And if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well subscribe. Join the fam. We would love to have you. I hope you're doing well whenever and wherever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video. See you next time.